So all to you, Sanaullah Sahab. Thank you. Thanks for coming here. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Very warm good evening. I am very thankful to the IT department, LUMS, and the faculty of the LUMS that they have invited me to have some sort of a discussion with students, the younger generation, because the younger generation is harbinger of the change, positive change in any society. So whenever we go, we are trying to engage the younger generation because they are the main stakeholders in any society. So I am very happy to be here to have some sort of a debate or discussion or some sort of a talk with you people. More so with the academia, because these universities, they are the strategic assets to us. The civilization develops from these universities. Therefore, they are very critical for the social and economic development of any society. So now coming to the topic, that is a cybercrime and the economic development and the security issues. Cyber domain is a very new domain, at least to start with in our society. Everybody now is shifting towards cyberspace because of the pandemic. More so, almost everything is being shifted to the cyberspace. So therefore, it's very important and critical to know the dynamics of cyber domain. Though it's a very new domain, but it's the domain apart from material domain, that is maybe a sea domain, land domain, air domain. So this is a domain which we are now exploring. The human being is exploring this domain also. Therefore, human behavior is to be regulated in that domain, like in other domains, because there are pros and there are cons, there are benefits and there are losses, there are positives and there are negatives of any domain. And human behavior is mainly regulated by the state. The citizen of any society, they make the states, and rights and duties, they are being regulated by the state with the consensus, obviously. So like the material domain, there are so many negatives which are vulnerable or which are happening in the cyberspace also. Because like every domain, there are risks. There are risks which are to be contained or controlled by any society. If you see the cybercrime or cyber domain vis-a-vis economic development, the growing cybercrime incidents now costing the world economy approximately more than 1 trillion, or just more than 1% of the global GDP. It's a very huge quantum of economy which is being suffered. And then the cybercrime cost include the damages, destruction of data, stolen, and all, etc., all these things. But mainly now world is focusing on 3 or 4 items of negative behavior of a human being on the cyberspace. The foremost is ransomware, where this data is being held to ransom, and criminals or bad guys, they are getting ransom at the cost of data. And the data shows that more than 500 ransomware attacks were reported by the close of 2021, with a damage of approximately 20 billions. It's very huge. Then comes the intellectual property theft. And the most important area of cost of cybercrime is that of theft of intellectual property and business confidential information. So that is also very important. The next item is the identity theft. Identity theft is a crime of obtaining personal or financial information of another person to use or to the advantage of another person. So it is costing 5 billion has been stolen through these attacks since 2015. This is the data internationally available. And finally, the hidden cost of cybercrime, that is recovery cost and opportunity cost. They are also very important. So I am giving you the global perspective of cybercrime versus the economic development and economic losses. Now coming to the our own society, mainly we are dealing banking frauds, frauds online, cyber attacks in recent months on the FBI and the National Bank of Pakistan. It decreases the privacy or interfere with the privacy and confidence of our public at large. There is another aspect, in particular, public sector programs. The bad things are being done by the bad people. Like silicon thumbs, it is being massively used in public sectors by the bad guys. And finally, the virtual currency, which is the hot topic of the today's times, at least in our own society. So these are the subjects we are exploring and investigating in our society. Now coming on the what we are doing. This is just like a social contract on cyberspace. People make a contract what is to be done and what not to be done. Bad things are to be controlled and good things are to be enhanced or encouraged and being facilitated. This is a motive of and objective of a viable and very dynamic society. And therefore, the state has a right to regulate the human behavior in every domain, including the cyber domain. Therefore, keeping in view the this objective, the state of Pakistan, obviously represented by the legislature, they have promulgated an act that is known to be a Prevention of Electronic Crime Act, PICA. There are so many bad things which has been banned through this law, like defamation, pornography, cyber terrorism, fraud, etc. and etc. And this law, it has mandated FIA as the only legitimate agency to investigate cybercrime. The only legitimate agency. No other agency has been mandated to investigate the cybercrime. So what are the ways that public, the victim or aggrieved person, aggrieved party may have access to FIA? We have raised a wing that is known to be a cybercrime wing. People are the aggrieved party or this victim, they can access this wing through emails, through walk-in, through even a correspondence, which we call it submitting papers, applications. So these are the access points, access methods to approach the FIA. Then we start an investigation, and we have provided the facility of e-investigation, meaning thereby that we can investigate the cases through video chats, video calls, and video conferences, and documentation are to be submitted, are to be retrieved through emails. So these are the things. It decreases the time and distance also. Finally, we submit these cases to the courts. Finally, the courts will decide the fate of the case, either acquitting the people or convicting the people. So when conviction is taking place, it creates a deterrence. Because in any society, we want to create a deterrence through certainty of a punishment. There are two schools of thoughts that the certainty of punishment create a more deterrence rather than severity of punishments. So now I am coming to the capacity of FIA, because it's very important that the agency which has been mandated to investigate the cybercrime, it must have a capacity. But truly speaking, this cybercrime wing is in transition. We raised ourselves from ashes, and challenge is very huge. In context of human resource and technology, so far as human resource is concerned, we have approximately and only 4,000 people with pluses and minuses. And the only 5 forensic laboratories in entire Pakistan in the provincial capitals. So these are the meager resources. Though the government of Pakistan is pumping budget and pumping money into cybercrime wing, but the quantum of challenge is very huge. I am giving you the statistics. In the last year, meaning thereby 2020, we received 58,000 complaints. And the last year, that is 21, we received 1 lakh complaints. So you can imagine the resources and the challenge we are facing. The challenge, this is the only reported crime which is being reported to us. This may be a tip of iceberg, but this is what it is. But despite resource constraints, the newly nascent branch of FIA, that is crime, this is cybercrime wing, it has performed tremendously, particularly headed by director, which is located at the Lahore, the Babar. In the last year, we have succeeded in convicting the 38 people. Last year, meaning that by the 20, we only got the 19 convictions. And the last year, we arrested the 1,300 accused people. So you can imagine the quantum of a challenge and quantum of resources to us. This year, in the 25 days of January, we arrested 79 people, convicted 4 people or 4 cases, and received complaints approximately 5,000. You see the quantum, you see the performance. I leave it to the audience, but we have to do more because of the expectation of people of Pakistan and the quantum of a challenge. And now, so because everything is now shifted to cyberspace. However, in this whole endeavors, international cooperation is very, very important, very critical, rather, I will say. Because we have to retrieve the evidence from social media giants like Facebook, like Twitter, so many other applications. Sometimes we get the positive response, sometimes we don't get the positive response. Facebook is topping the list. Now, coming to the point that what we are supposed to do more and what we are doing in future and what are our initiatives in future, because we have to take this cyber wing ahead, keeping in view the daunting challenge faced by the society and faced by us. Number one, the foremost is awakening to the public, particularly youth, because the statistics shows that the complaints, the major chunk of complaints we are receiving are from students. Therefore, the awakening of the students, youth generation is very critical. So that's why we are engaging with you people. It is only tiny part that I am engaging with you people. Our directors, our lower staff is also engaging, conducting seminars in universities, educating the people and public at large about these cybercrime. Number two is the capacity building of an FIA. We have embarked upon initiating 2 projects. One in context of human resource development, other is in context of technology development. So hopefully it will augur well. So far as international cooperation is concerned, we are interacting the international media giants through Interpol. And another thing which is very, very important, that we are trying to make these giants stakes in Pakistan. When they have stakes, particularly the business stakes, then it will be easier for us to enforce the law, application of law to these people. And number 4 is engaging the universities. And the government of Pakistan has spotted 7 universities where the cyber security is being researched upon. And we are trying to sign a memorandum of understanding with these universities. Research is very critical because this is a new domain, more so in our society. And the students, the younger generation has a fertile mind. They have a very appetite for the innovations and discoveries. And we are also trying to have indigenous solutions to our own problems, which are customized to our society. So universities are very, very critically important for us. So we are trying also to engage these universities also. The last one is the multi-domain synergy. This is very critically important in the sense that we are living in a very complex world where things are changing constantly, rapidly, and very in uncertain way. Therefore, the only organization cannot meet the challenges successfully to the culminating point. Therefore, the all stakeholders, academia, younger generation, intelligence agencies, the paramilitary forces, the army, they are to be engaged, and the efforts they are to be put in together to have some sort of a better solution. So therefore, multi-domain synergy is critically important. So we are trying to engage everybody with FIA as a central point and a focal point. So these are the steps now. The main challenge which we are now focusing upon are the two subjects mainly, the virtual currency and the cyber security. So now we are embarked upon to navigate these two domains. Let us see, let us hope for our success, and we will engage you people. We have started an internship program. It's amazing to witness or experience that phenomena. In the last 1 month of December, we received 19,000 applications for internship in 1 month. Therefore, it shows that how the society is embracing FIA, how the society is trusting the FIA. So we have shortlisted people. There are so many PhD students engaged in this internship programs. So it's a very good domain for us that the society is trusting us. So at the end, I am very thankful to the faculty, to the students who have given me a very good patience audience. Once again, I am thankful. Now I am here to respond to any query that you may have. But I will say that your questions, this discussion and debate will educate me also, will guide me also to go forward to meet the challenge of society. Thank you very much, sir.
Sanaullah Saab, there are a few students who want to ask some questions, so let's start with Usama.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thank you so much for sharing a very insightful detail of how your organization works and what are the challenges. We're talking about economic development particularly. I would really like to know what are the domains, which are the areas, which are the institutions which resist this change, because FIA is working in a very dynamic domain which is very rapidly changing. So in what areas, with what institutions do you feel the most that they are finding it hard to catch up with you, they are finding it hard to facilitate you? Is it the State Bank, is it the FPR, is it some intelligence agencies? Which areas do you think are the most difficult to work with?
Ji, Sanaullah sir.
So far as I understand your question, we are engaging banks, FPR and State Bank of Pakistan. They have their own this automation programs. They have developed their own this automation of critical data. We have suggested them to have some security audits of their own systems. because it is the only option to them that they should know the loopholes in their system, and they may be vulnerable to the cyber attacks. So they first audit their systems by third party or by these 7 universities that they are conducting their research. So these are the 3 exploration of navigation of ideas which we are implying. I think this will answer your query.
Thank you. The next question is from Bilal.
Thank you for your time. As you mentioned in your presentation that during the last 2 years, the number of cases nearly doubled from 50,000 to 100,000 cases. So do you think this is a general trend in which the country is going, or can you attribute some of this due to the COVID that has been prevalent in the country?
I simply can say that, people first don't know that which agency we have to report. Maybe this, maybe the reasons of increasing in cybercrime reporting. Number 1. Number 2, reporting is another phenomena. Though the crime is occurring and happening, but this is only reporting figures. Maybe because of media revolution, because of these our awakening programs, people came to know that there is some agency to report with, that these crimes should be investigated. Even otherwise, because of pandemic, everything has gone to the cyberspace. It may have aided to increase in cybercrime also. These are the different reasons that cybercrime has increased. But maybe cybercrime happening and cybercrime reporting, these are 2 different dynamics. I think that it was happening even before reporting, but because of the media revolution, because of awakening to the public, they have resorted, facilitated, encouraged to report to FIA. I think so. But because of the quantum, because of the population of the cyberspace is going on, having an upward trajectory, so it has also aided to the increase in cybercrime.
Thank you, Sanaullah sir. Babar, do you want to add anything to this? The increase in the number of crimes? Taha.
Assalamualaikum sir, my name is Taha and my question pertains to the slow operation of criminal justice system of Pakistan. When a case goes into the court, it gets dragged on for many years. So my question is that what is FIA doing so that the case gets solved rapidly from the court and the justice is done rapidly?
Yes,
actually, I couldn't understand, but probably there was some communication.
Okay. Sanaullah sir, Taha is asking about the slow prosecution process of different cases. So is FIA doing something to expedite the process?
And this is very important question which you have asked. As I already told you that this is a new domain. We have a serious prosecution problem, I must confess. Because people don't know the cyberspace, cybercrime, cyber dynamics. That is an expert deficit, number 1. That's why we are engaging you people, youth generation, which has a fertile mind. Number 2, even a judiciary have a deficit of experts. They are to be also sensitized. What is a cybercrime? How to go about it? And finally, the advocates, which we are implying to prosecute our cases, they are also deficit. Therefore, this is a main issue which we are now dealing with. For that, we are creating a new vacancies to hire the experts from open market. So even today, I have signed a summary that we should be allowed to hire the experts to prosecute our cases in the courts. This is a big problem. But you see, despite the expert deficit, resource deficit, we have succeeded in convicting the people. I have not, I have a full data of conviction, but in Karachi, there are very big and serious cases which has been convicted, particularly university cases. So though the much is to be done, we are still in wanting and so far as prosecution is concerned. Yes, I agree with you.
Thank you. The next question is from Fatima Mir.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. So I want to know what FIA is doing with the recent National Bank cyber attack case and how it's not going to have a domino effect on all other banks that's been happening. So what's FIA's stance in that?
We are investigating the two cyber attacks. One is the National Bank and other is in FBR. We are still investigating these cases. When they will be investigated to full extent, hopefully we will try to share with the you people also. But simply I can say that we are doing, because there are so many privacy issues involved into the banks, even a privacy issue so far as private data is concerned, of a private person is concerned. We are also conscious of the fact and cognizant of the fact that privacy of this data must be protected. But we are doing our best. Let us see what will happen and time will tell. But this domain was unknown domain to us still today. Till today. But we are navigating into the unknown domain now, because this is a very serious topic. Engaging the intelligence agencies, engaging the universities, engaging the, we may constitute a JIT or task force to investigate these cases because of complexity of the cases. So let us see, we are doing something.
Thank you. The next question is from Usman.
So basically, when we talk about cybercrime, social media platforms are a big space as well. And we see that, I wanted your opinion on, do you guys have a particular wing setup that basically monitors these platforms to see any incidents of hate speech or people who incite violence? Do you also monitor these platforms as well?
Sanaullah?
Yes. So far as I understand your question, we are also conducting a cyber patrolling. Before the commission on an offense occurring in the cyberspace, we do patrol, but we don't have a specialized patrolling softwares. We use the Google open source softwares. And I am very happy to tell you that using these open source softwares, resources provided by Google, which is available on the net, in the recent past, we have succeeded in containing, arresting, and nullifying the impact and influence of extremist organizations, particularly the single one which we have experienced in the recent past without naming anyone. So this is our success story that we have done by making a cyber patrol. And despite the fact that we are resource deficit and using the open source softwares of cyber patrol, but we are also initiated a cyber patrol project also. Before the crime is committed, we should try to control it. Even we are being feeded by the international organization through Interpol, particularly the child pornography cases. We are also investigating these cases, and there are some cases. I'm quoting a case from Peshawar, but I think it's a child pornography cases. He was arrested, he was sentenced to vigorous imprisonment. So international, the institutes, they are feeding to us also through Interpol. So these are the channels which are we using.
Thank you, Sanaullah Saab. The next question is from Hamza Hassan.
Sir, thank you so much. Sir, thank you so much for taking out the time and having this conversation. Sir, my question is basically on two levels. Number one, I want to know what are some of the KPIs of the cybercrime team specifically, through which you can measure the success or the impact that you guys are having on curbing this crime. And secondly, sir, you did mention the number of cases you did receive. However, could you share the figure of how many of these cases, or what percentage of these cases were actually resolved by the FIAs?
I couldn't understand. Probably there is this communication. I think, can you repeat it, or somebody can guide me?
KPIs?
Sanaullah Saab, Hamza's question is related to KPIs of cybercrime wing. And second question is, what is the percentage of cases which has been resolved by FIA?
Yeah. KPI. Key performance indexes.
Exactly.
Exactly. Another, thank you very much. Key performance indicator in any law enforcement agency is the conviction rate. How we got people convicted, cases convicted, number one. Number two, the other may be a perception index, how we are being perceived by public at large. The third may be how many cases we have challaned to the courts. These are the main key performance indicators. I think in some cases we are successful. In some indicators we may not be successful. We need to do more. But indicators are there, but because of the resource deficit, we may improve. So far as perception index is concerned, I leave it to you. And the final question was very interesting. I think that how many cases were resolved. This is very important. I have told my own guys here in FIA that they must see that how many cases were challaned, how many cases were convicted, and how many cases was resolved. Because in our society where there is a arbitration, where there is a jirga system, where there is so many other things, informal justice system is prevailing in our society, like panchayat. Whenever anybody comes to FIA, comes to cyber wing, giving in an application, so the accused party approached to him or her, and the matter being resolved. Just giving in an application by us. When he or she gives application to us, we give a notice to accused. When the notice goes to the accused, he goes to the complainant to have a compromise. So this quantum is very huge so far as this arbitration is concerned. Conviction may be low, but this arbitration compromise, this is very huge quantum. I don't have the figures, but this is the main issue which was discussed in our meetings, that we should also quantify the compromises in arbitration, though in an informal justice system, but it quantifies our performance besides convicting the people. Because had he or she has not come to us, he or she could not have been given an opportunity of a compromise. The quantum is big, large, I think so. But hopefully we will share in the next session also.
Thank you. Let's take two questions from those students who are online. So may I request Mehdi, first of all? Mehdi, do you have a question?
Sir, I did have a question, but most of them have been resolved. One of the few questions that is left, Mr. Sanaullah Saab, thank you for giving this talk, is what exactly falls under the jurisdiction of the cybercrime wing of FIA? That is, if some objectionable content originates from somewhere outside of Pakistan, how is that dealt with by the FIA? And another question that has been raised by several people already is that you made this dedicated portal for civilian issues, but I think a more pressing concern is how governmental data is being regulated. And you did shed some light on that as well. But I think some dedicated cyber defense system should be in play given the things that happened to the FBR and the NBP.
Thank you very much. So far as first part is your question is concerned, we do investigate the cases, but the jurisdictional matter is important because those posts which has been originated outside the jurisdiction of Pakistan, if they have been transmitted to the jurisdiction of Pakistan or anybody who is receiving it or possessing it, particularly the child pornography, or making it viral, then it empowers us having a jurisdiction to investigate that cases also. But we cannot investigate the beyond our jurisdiction. But there is now this navigation of ideas to have a global jurisdiction, because it's now globalization. And this crime is also global. So thinking is there that there must be a global jurisdiction also. But the countries and societies are assigned their own rules and regulations. So let us see what will happen. But we do, when they are transmitted to our domain, having the possession or making it viral in our jurisdiction, we do have a jurisdiction. And the number second part that they have some regulation in FBR and state bank and banks. We have suggested to these people that they should have the security audit will determine their the loopholes are positive and negative as their structures, systems. So let us see, they have agreed and they are doing it, I think so. But it need a time. Because do you know, audit is a very, very difficult task. If anybody says to anybody to be audited, so he feels very bad about it. So therefore, even a financial audit, people and organization, they resist it. But we are trying to do our best, and this is the solution. Though very difficult and challenging, but hopefully, inshallah, they will do it with the legislation at backing.
Thank you. The last question, I understand we have already taken a lot of time from Dr. Sanaullah Saab. The last question we can request Valia. Valia, may you ask question, please?
Yes, sir. So my question is, how hard is it to bring change in the law enforcement landscape of Pakistan? As we have studied that in typical bureaucratic organizations, they don't really welcome these changes. So how is FIA coping up with this challenge?
Challenge of what? I couldn't understand.
So it's bringing the changes in the law enforcement structure, landscape of Pakistan.
Definitely, do you know, we have to cope up with the changing situation in Pakistan and Pakistani society. The society has an introspection. Society is changing fastly. So, vis-a-vis the society, changing patterns, changing dynamics, law enforcement has to be changed. So that's why we are also subjected to change. And change means positive change. There cannot be, we don't have a luxury of negative change. So positive change, yes, we are doing capacity programs to our own organization, particularly law enforcement, the financial training in the financial sector, and taking these experts from the open market and maybe incentive given to the law enforcement agencies through packages and salary. These are the things government is doing, particularly hiring the people from open market. So now people may agree or may not agree that we are living in a market society. Rather, previously, market was in the society, but nowadays, society is in the market. Therefore, with moral limitations of the market, or moral limitation in the market, we must develop, keeping in view the challenging nature of the society.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Sanaullah Saab. We already took almost 20 minutes more than your budgeted time. So we are really grateful for you for sparing time for us and talking to us. We are really grateful to you. Thanks, Sanaullah Saab.
Thank you very much. Thank you.